Welcome to the Post Racing Podcast with Ron Robinson and Sean Travass. Post Racing, the site for winners.
Good afternoon, Sean. Welcome back to Blighty. How was Dubai?
Hot would be the first word I'd use.
I saw that, yeah.
I'm sure you saw they moved the races back an hour for the
I did.
horses because it was 38 was the forecast, I think. I don't know what it was. All I know is as a journalist in inverted commas, race day we have to wear a collar and tie and a suit. So luckily they have air-conditioned rooms to go in and out, so it's not quite so bad as it sounds. And once the sun gets down, it drops to a chilly 33 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever looked. I'll chuck this one in for those listening. I did put it on my Dubai review. If you ever get the chance to go on YouTube and just search for Dubai post-racing display or drone display, something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Have a look at that. It is they've broken all sorts of Guinness records yet again. It is unbelievable. I can't think of any other description. It's indescribable. It's just they use drones to create pictures in the sky. And it's like they're I don't know 1,000 foot tall and up in the sky. It's like how can you do that?
Yeah,
it's beyond my little brain, that's for sure. But yeah, it was a good trip. It's always a good trip. Met loads of new friends and old friends.
Yeah,
had a good time. And as Ron knows, he's now leading me into the first story of the day.
You said when we were discussing putting the list together, I said I'd do it because you were still cream cracking.
Yep.
And you said whatever you do, you've got to start off with the story about the Japanese fan.
Yeah.
And I don't mean a fan you waffed yourself with.
Oh.
This guy had only a young lad, wasn't he?
21.
And he made his own way from Japan to Dubai.
Yep.
To support a horse. Over to you, because you know what this is all about.
It's a bit waffly, so bear with me a bit. If you like a good news story, it's worth listening to. We headed off to what used to be called Breakfast with the Stars. So we sat out there, tablecloth tables, breakfast, etc. And we sat down, and there's this guy on his own. So one of the ladies I was with, Yolanda, she sort of started speaking to him, not in Japanese, I might add. How did you get here? Why are you here? The usual sort of conversation. Yeah. And he travelled on his own, aged 21, because he's a massive Japanese racing fan, or racing fan full stop. Liberty Island being his favourite horse, and she was running in one of the races. So I'll try and keep this as short as I can. We had a spare polo shirt that fitted him and didn't fit us because we're too fat. So we gave him that, and you'd have thought we'd just given him a bar of gold. It was just the satisfaction, the thanks from him was unbelievable. So I added in a baseball cap to that. Then Yolanda went looking for Liberty Island's connections to see if she could introduce him. Couldn't find them, unfortunately, but managed to find Yutaka Take, who's their preeminent jockey, if you like, and has been for 30 odd years. Ran into him, and our Japanese friend, whose name is Ryohei Yamashina, literally dropped to his knees. Yeah, he was just that. You have to understand that racing is so big in Japan compared to here that he's Tom Cruise meets I don't know, whatever superstar you want to add in, Elvis Presley or whatever, all rolled into one. So Yutaka hung around and did some photos, gave an autograph, and obviously you think that's it. But no, he then says he'd like to meet Christophe Lemaire if possible. So we asked him, he didn't sort of come out with that. So we dragged him into a press conference. He's going, "Oh, I'm not allowed in there. I've only got this badge." I went, don't worry about it. Come in with us. So we took him in, and Christophe came in. We grabbed hold, not physically, but grabbed hold of Christophe and said, "Can you spare 2 minutes?" Actually postponed the press conference because Christophe was in it. And he sat down with the lad and did some more photos. No autograph this time, did some more photos. And the guy's like, "This is the best." He's literally saying constantly, "This is the best day of my life. This is the best day of my life." Yeah. And then Dubai Racing Club joined in with the fun, for want of a better way of putting it, through Laura Martin. She asked around, and they got his ticket upgraded from a £7 apron ticket to I dread to think how expensive hospitality ticket with all the food he could eat and all the drink he could drink. Yeah. And a fantastic view of the course for race time as well. The only sad news that goes with that is he doesn't drink alcohol. And I'm thinking, oh, really? What a waste, when all the free booze you can get and you're going to sit with Coke. But never mind, that's up to him, isn't it? But long story short, he had a fantastic time. And it was a real heartwarming experience for us because we didn't need to do very much. The people there all mucked in, and I'm sure others would have done if we'd have asked the question. We just didn't know who to ask and where. And everybody said, "Oh, well, let's make this guy's trip something special, shall we?" And they did. Yeah. So it's good when racing comes together. You know what it's like over here. One of the things I've written down that I haven't actually just read off it is that we are too obsessed with betting, winners, losers, profit and loss.
Yeah.
That's possibly 99% of UK racing fans. That's their highest priority. Not once did we discuss who we thought would win a race. Not once did we discuss what price they might be back home. So there's no betting in Dubai. None of that conversation took place at all. It was simply about the stars of the sport, be them jockeys or horses or trainers.
Yeah.
And someone who's travelled half the world on his own, braver than me at age 21, let's be honest.
Me.
Walking around like a Cheshire cat for the entire day, just for the sake of a couple of, I won't say tuck-me out gifts, because that's rude, because the Dubai Racing Club gave them to us. So I don't want that to sound rude. But it wasn't for financial reasons. It was for purely that he was enjoying himself and that people were trying to take care of him. Yeah. So it didn't quite bring a tear to my eye, but not far off it. We sort of sat there with a sort of self-contented grin for the rest of the afternoon, knowing that we'd done some good for a change. And that betting isn't the be-all end-all of life after all. So, yeah, it was a nice story, and I hope people take that, or anyone listening takes that in the way it's meant, in that it's just to say that it's a good news story, it's a happy story, and amongst all the other stuff that's going on, it's pleasant to see it.
Sure. Brilliant.
And then we move on to more mundane stuff. We've got plenty to talk about this week.
We have it all. Yeah.
Ron's fault. But you can lead the next one. I'll get my breath back.
Yeah, but it's this continuation of the Mullins domination of the national hunt scene. It's now even greater than it's ever been. I was reading before Aintree, basically Dan Skelton had the championship wrapped up, Champion Trainers Championship wrapped up. And then along comes Mullins, whizzes away with all the grade ones, comes first, second and third, fifth and seventh in the Grand National, and comes away from Aintree just about £200,000 behind Dan Skelton.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at Ayr on Saturday. I think he's got a third of the field in the Scottish National. Yeah. He's bringing something like 70 horses over for Ayr. And you're thinking, I'll be honest with you, I don't like it. I don't know what it is. Maybe I should be saying to myself that this guy is absolutely brilliant. He's a genius. And he is. Let's be fair. He's got horses there that he's winning with that other trainers wouldn't. I mean, I can point to one straight away that we had that was raced in this country, Cabaret Queen.
Yeah.
Did very, very little. Won a couple of races, was half decent here. Mullins gets all of it and wins a Munster National within 3 weeks. You know, and you think to yourself, what is it he does? But besides all that, what about the other trainers? What are they actually? They all put on a brave face on screen. Yeah. And they all say, well, it's up to us to rise to the challenge and take the guy on. Well, the Brits have got no chance because there's virtually no owners left in this country. You've only got to look at the day-to-day racing now, where you get to the end of a festival, and we were talking about this before we came on, and we were saying you get to the end of a festival where you've had 18 runners, 24 runners, 12 runners, and then you're back to 3, 4 and 5 runner races. Yeah. Now, you know, and these aren't great horses. These are class 4 and 5. They're ordinary bog standard horses. They wouldn't even get a sniff of Mullins Yard.
No.
So where do we go from here? What do we do about it?
Well, I've taken a very different view to you, unsurprisingly. That's what the podcast is about. I agree with you. As far as the grade ones are concerned, I don't know what we do other than we need to source better horses, we define a better supply chain, revamp our national hunt breeding operation and our point-to-point game, and look at that. The thing that concerns me the most is you mentioned the national 1, 2 and 3 in the national, and clever man, well done.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the national with that? And to me, what's wrong with that is it's a handicap.
Oh yeah.
Now the whole point of a handicap, although it never works that way, is that every horse finishes in a dead heat. They're all weighted accordingly, and they finish in a dead heat. That's the theoretical plan of any handicap, flat or jumps. So you have to say to yourself, do we consistently underestimate the Irish horses' handicap marks? Are our handicappers getting it wrong time in, time out, or are they somehow finding a way to stay ahead of the handicapper, hiding them better than we do, perhaps?
Yeah.
But it's a handy. He shouldn't. In the grade ones, I understand the advantage. He's got the better horses. He's clearly. I'm not going to say he's a better trainer because I've no evidence to back up. The statistics suggest he is, and as you say, the way he improved Cabaret Queen, something's happening. I don't know what that is, and I'm not being derogatory to Willie Mullins at all. I'm just questioning how the Irish, including Mullins, can do so well in handicaps all the time.
Yeah.
Why is that? There's something wrong if that's happening, isn't there? That's the thing. Grade 1's the best horse wins at level weights. You can't stop him. Or it's hard to find a way to stop him. We've got to learn to compete. But there's something very wrong if he's got all the handicaps as well. There's something wrong with the handicapping system, and they need to be looking at that. Whether they go, well, actually, because the Irish always complain we got no chance. The Brits have given us too much weight.
I know, yeah.
And then they go and win all the races anyway. So it's a complete utter nonsense that when they say that. But you have to say to yourself, there's something wrong. Is anyone looking at it? That's the question mark. Are the handicappers going back and going, how did he get a 1, 2, 3? Because we handicapped that race and they shouldn't have been that much better than the rest of them. Yeah. Shouldn't have happened. But it did. So they need to look at it. Sorry, there's something wrong there. Not the grade 1, I agree with you, but the handicaps, something's amiss and that needs to be investigated. On to the national.
Yeah. Well, I was pointing out in newsletters and whatever, in the run up to the national, the course itself now has never been safer. I pointed out that last year there were no fallers in the Grand National, right?
Yep.
And then we had the Topham, which saw no fallers this year. The amateur riders race came the day after. There were 2 fallers. But, is it down to the amateurs? I couldn't tell you. But there were only 2 fallers. And then the Grand National again on Saturday, there were 3 fallers. So that's in the last 4 races that have been run over the Grand National course, including 2 Grand Nationals, there have only been 5 fallers. Now, normally you'd see that on the first circuit of a Grand National 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, the first
and let alone the Topham or the amateur riders race, it would have been a similar story. So what they've done is that they've clearly made the track much easier to jump, but they've also instilled in jockeys now as well. If your horse hasn't got a snowball in hell's chance of winning or placing, you pull it up. Now, one jockey fell foul of that on Saturday. He should have pulled the horse up. He didn't. And there's been a bit of spillage, shall we say, afterwards, because the horse has now passed away. But generally speaking, if the jockeys have got their head screwed on, the course is now 1,000% safer than it was. Now, I don't know whether, I'm an old man by comparison to some of the people that were at Aintree this week. And they won't have seen the likes of Red Rum and Nandy Pandy and horses like that absolutely flying these fences that were twice as big as what they are now. I love the spectacle of that. But I'll be honest with you, on Saturday, I watched that race and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great spectacle. There was so many horses still in contention, and I prefer that to a horse being 25 lengths clear coming to the elbow, I'll be honest with you. And I'm slowly coming round to the fact that it's not done for me and you anymore. It's done for safety. It's done for the people who actually enjoy watching the race. It's their only race a year that they will watch. And they will have got as big a buzz out of watching that race on Saturday as they will have done of watching Red Rum all those years ago, whether they back the winner or not, because it was still a great spectacle.
It was. I think the other thing that's changed, because they changed the fences, it's attracting better horses now. You would never see in the likes of Braden's game in a national.
No.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because it's sort of compressing the handicap and creating for the others. The animal liberation gangs were out in force.
They were?
On social media particularly.
Yeah.
Especially, I've written down here that as far as I'm concerned, I will stand up and say you can do away with horse racing on cruelty grounds when you've done away with parrots in cages, grouse shooting, abandoned dogs in their thousands, etc., etc. When you've done away with far crueler things to other animals than horse racing will ever be, then you can come after racing, and you'd even get my vote when you come after it then. But meanwhile, it's because it's a publicity thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. People. You won't see them faking them on a windy Wednesday, will you?
No, and you don't see them at Battersea Dog Zone, where people have, the numbers of dogs that were bought during COVID that are now in dog shelters. Because people have gone back to work and can't look after them anymore.
And they can't look after them, yeah.
And that's far crueler than anything that's ever done to a racehorse, because let's face it, horses are capital assets in a business. basically, aren't they? They're an asset. No one
They
wants
are,
any harm to come to that horse. That horse cost a lot of money, and you're attempting to try and get that money back or more by winning races with it. So you look after it and you feed it properly, and the vets are on site, and girls and boys looking after them in the mornings and mucking out on a regular basis. They're treated like royal. They're treated better than we are. Yeah, that's for sure. So I think it's a shame. And Celebre Dallem passed. I do think Michael Nolan's 10-day ban, I'm even going to say it's not enough.
Well, I would agree with that. Yeah, because he must have known. He must have known the script. There were plenty of horses pulled up in that race. I noticed that.
Yeah, if you've got no chance, what's the point of riding it out?
What is the point? Yeah.
There's no point whatsoever. I don't suppose he meant it for a minute. I'm not suggesting.
No, he's probably he's caught up in the moment, isn't he? It's a Grand National. You know,
it's not a good look. Ron and I said by text earlier, the horse concerned who passed away is an interesting autopsy that will be coming out. I think I can say a little bit now. I know Ron's ready if I sent it to him. The horse didn't die from anything to do with the Grand National. He died from pneumonia, basically. However, there is a thought process. They're still looking into it, by the way. There's a thought process that was his resistance. Is that the right phrase? Well, I can't remember now. I'm got it in front of me. Or antibodies were an all-time low because of the excursion, the effort he put into the Grand National. And that's why the pneumonia got him. So you can say that the race did kill him or not, depending on how you read the report. But you can't carry on a horse that needs pulling up like that. Once others are flying past you, I'm afraid that's the end of it, and you've got to pull them up. Caught up in the moment. It's an exciting time. I imagine every jockey wants to get round in the National as well, not pulled up, wants to at least get round, even if they're ninth. So it was a tough time, but you say it's not the spectacle it was of years ago. The only sad thing I have to add as a sad note to that is I was in the press room at Meydan Racecourse when the Grand National started. And if you read on the Racing Post report, you'll find Mr. Carr saying that there were only 3 people bothered to watch it on the screen. Really? And I was one of them. So so I know exactly what he's talking about. We had it on a laptop in the press room, but it wasn't considered. No one there bothered with it at all. I know it is a big race, and they'll go out. It went out to 100 countries and 1 billion people, whatever it was. But in the media press room, no one really cared about it. To be honest, really, just another race. But it's progress. You know, there are probably people out there who still think you should be sending children up chimneys. It's progress. Things move on. Well, I'm sure at the time when that was banned, there were people who thought it was an outrage. When slavery was banned, there must have been people who thought it was an outrage, etc.
Oh,
It's progress, and old farts like you and me, Ron, we have to just
we just have to bite the bullet, don't we?
Roll with it and carry on. I mean, I will pay the price of not seeing the spectacle of the old Nationals in return for far less, or preferably no horses being injured or killed. I will absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, because that's far more important. I love those horses. That's an absolute fact of life. Without them, I probably wouldn't have the chair on Saturday, let anything else.
No, this is true.
One last little thing, not that little really. Hayley Turner.
Yeah, she's retiring again. Well, more comebacks than Sinatra. But no, a genuine reason this time. She's having a baby.
Good luck to her.
Now, when you told me, I sent you a message. Who did that? You said it wasn't me. Love it.
Somebody had it in for him, as the old joke goes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, she was. I can't say she was ever my cup of tea. I'm not going to lie and pretend she was. But when you look back at her record and everything else, she's an absolute flag bearer for female riders, and I suspect myself and everyone else following through are quite aware they owe her a huge debt. First female to ride 100 winners in a season, first to ride a Group 1 winner on Dream Ahead in 2011, rode a 1,000th winner in 2024, and was an integral part of forming an all-women's team for the Shergar Cup each year.
That's right,
So she's done an awful lot for women's sport, or women jockeys anyway. I suppose women's sport overall, perhaps, I don't know. A good rider on her day, without a shadow of a doubt. She's 42, so she's not retiring in the prime of youth, shall we say?
No.
Sorry, Hayley. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. It's not like a super early retirement, is it? Really, that's the thing. As you say, expecting a baby, and that's where her future lies. I suspect there'll be a career in television when she wants one.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
She's quite articulate. Clearly, you can't ride 1,000 winners and not know a lot more about racing than the likes of Matt Chapman, for want of an argument.
This is a fact. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a place for her sometime, if and when she wants it. But I think she's decided at the moment she says her immediate future is simply devoting herself to motherhood. So good for her, and best of luck to you, Hayley. That's the truth.
Well, yeah, a fact. Yeah. Well done. Well done. Brilliant. Yeah. Did you know she wrote nearly 200 winners for Michael Bell?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't get as far as that.
197 winners she wrote. That was where she was apprenticed to begin with, and she ended up riding nearly 200 winners for him.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, it's stretched out over quite a long period of time. I wouldn't say she's forgotten. That's an exaggeration, but Holly Doyle sort of overtaken her in the limelight, if you like.
Well, yeah, understandably so, with the age difference and the ability to go where the horses are going, be it at home or abroad, and that type of thing. So yeah.
I don't suppose Hayley ever had. Well, maybe she did, and I don't know about this. That's the truth of it. But certainly wouldn't have had as many opportunities to go and ride in the likes of Japan or Hong Kong.
Oh no. I thought so.
Holly's got now, and that's not just to do with Holly's ability. It's to do with the way that, again, progress and the world has opened up.
Well, exactly right. Yeah, we send more horses to race abroad now for the better prize money, don't we?
We do, and also, if you're a good jockey, you're a good jockey. You know, anyone with half a brain. Yeah. Well, that includes myself. Anyone with half a brain. I mean, the old school of trainers struggled, some of them, to put lady jockeys up on horses, however good they were. Now, whether that was down to the trainers or down to the stuffed shirt owners, I couldn't tell you. I honestly wouldn't know. But they struggled to get rides. I know we're talking about Hayley, but let's talk about Safi Osborne. I can't remember which horse it was. She put in a fantastic ride and just got pipped on the line out in Dubai.
Yeah.
On her dad's horse, on Jamie Osborne's horse. I think she's a great young jockey. I think she's as good as anything out there. I genuinely do. And at the moment, she's getting more rides, but she's not getting the ride she deserves. So there's still that little inkling of sexism in the sport, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But it's
I tell you what, one of the best rides I saw last season was Amy Woff.
Oh yeah.
Up in Scotland for Jim Goldie. It was like it was only a sprint, class 4 or 5 sprint. But she sat out the back. She had to wait for gaps to appear. And when they appeared, she shot through them one after the other and got the horse up bang on the line. I actually put something up on Facebook about what a fantastic ride that was. And I had all of Amy Woff's friends coming on saying, yeah, brilliant, thanks very much. And Jim Goldie came on and gave me a thumbs up. And yeah, but it was a stunning ride. I'll try and dig it out and I'll mention it to everybody where they can go and see it. You won't see a better ride. It was brilliant.
That's the thing. We've got to get out of this. Well, not we, because I'm not one of them, actually.
No, I'm not either. No.
But racing has got to get out of this. Women jockeys aren't as good. I mean, I was brought up, sadly, with the idea that, well, they haven't got the strength, so they can't possibly be as good. But it appears that strength isn't the only thing you need in the saddle, is it?
No, it's no.
Look
Finesse.
Heart of Honour it was. It rode for Saffield, beating a nose in the UAE Derby. Saffield was. And it was a brilliant ride. I mean, she was unlucky to just got done on the line by guess what, Japanese raider.
Yeah.
But I think she's the future. I genuinely do. If she keeps going.
She is right up there. Well, she had a good teacher, didn't she?
Yeah, that's true. Can't argue with that one. Yeah, but I honestly think she's going to be one of the best. I really do. I put my hat on it. Yeah, no problem backing any of it. If the form of the horse is there, I might add. Yeah. Then I would have no problem. I wouldn't go looking and go, oh no, Safi Osborne's riding it, so I won't pick that one. No. Or Holly Doyle, or any of the lady jockeys out there. No. If the horse is good enough, then the majority of lady jockeys are certainly good enough, and they're proving it. So best of luck, lady. You keep it going and give me more winners. That's what I say. Yeah. Right. On to the actual racing next.
Yeah. No, I have deliberately binned the NH racing. No national hunt. We're talking purely flat racing from here on in, even though it's the Scottish Grand National. All you do with that is you pay him Willie Mullins' horses because he's going to win it. He's probably going to get the trifecta again. And with 70 horses being sent over, I just tell myself, what's the point of even looking at it? So we're concentrating on Newbury. Oh, I had to decline a call. Now, so we're sticking with Newbury and the Curragh. Yeah. 5 races, all group races. And I thought to myself, we'll start off with the 125 at Newbury.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, this has gone to a seasonal debutante on each of the last 5 seasons. I didn't check any further back than that. Now it's down to 7 runners because several have come out since final decks. And I reckon it's best left to one of SUNWAY, Ancient Wisdom, or BELLUM JUSTUM. There's been no winner in the last 10 years return an SP bigger than 7-1. And it's currently 10-1 by that trio on the tissue that I could find on a Thursday. We did have an 18-1 winner in 2023, but I put that basically down to an anomaly. These 3 all fit perfectly from an age perspective. And obviously in group races, weights, they just don't matter. The only thing that really matters in April is match fitness. For the group 3, you would assume the trainers have got them ready for this, especially the early season group 3 races.
Yeah.
The form horse has got to be SUNWAY, only beaten 10 lengths and bits in last year's Arc de Triomphe. But despite racing often at group 1 level, he's also been beaten odds on in his last 2 runs at group 3.
Yeah.
His last win came in 2023 on very soft ground. I just think he's a horse that's hard to win with.
Yeah.
I'm going with Ancient Wisdom. He preferred to Ancient Crown. Godolphin also had that one in here. He's arriving here a winner of 5 of his 9 career starts to date. And his only unplaced effort to date was in the Derby last season. And I'll forgive any horse a bad run at Epsom. I'd run bad at Epsom. He's rated just £1 shy of SUNWAY. And he's £4 better than BELLUM JUSTUM. The yard's already going well. They've had 3 winners from 3 winners from 8 runners in the last 2 weeks. I've got to go with Ancient Wisdom.
Yeah, I also noticed that Godolphin had another horse in, and I quietly fancied that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've keep an eye on Feigning Madness, 40-1 in a field of 7. Ralph Beckett's won it twice in the last 10 years.
He has.
Sorry, Rafe Beckett, to apologise. I always struggle with that one. I'm sorry about that. So that's worth a second look if you fancy the silly bet at 40-1 in a 7-runner field. But yeah, I'm with SUNWAY, I'm afraid. I understand what you're saying. He doesn't win often enough. I agree. He doesn't win as often as he should do for a horse of his ability. But he's dropping into Group 3 company. Most of last season he was mixing at the top level. He placed in the Irish Derby. He placed in the Doncaster St Leger. He's earned £530,000 by the end of the season for just 2 wins as a juvenile so far. If he's fit, this is the question with all of these, and
with all of them.
You probably don't have the question with Ancient Wisdom because Godolphin have got better facilities than most. But SUNWAY's form says that he should win this on his way to bigger and better things. So I'm happy to stick with SUNWAY. I take your points and don't disagree with them at all that he doesn't win as often as he should, but maybe he's been competing at a grade 2 high. Perhaps he's a Group 3 and then a Group 2 horse, and not really Group 1. We'll have to wait and see on that one as the season progresses. But he's an interesting horse, and I've no issue SUNWAY for me.
Okie dokie. Newbury 2 o'clock.
Yes. First to begin, Charles.
This is where the fun begins, because we're dealing with a few races now that they're all 3-year-olds. And the very first thought that comes into my head when I look at these types of races is, have they trained on from 2?
Of course, yeah.
You know, we've got 16 of them going to post here. And as I've said, which have trained on. Your guess is going to be absolutely as good as mine. I'm relying very much on the markets when it comes to these types of races in April. And that is as good a way in here as any, because we've seen just 3 winners bigger than 5-1 of this race in the last 10 years. There's been no winner bigger than 5-1 in the last 4 runnings of it. And if we apply those market stats to this now, based on the tissue that I can find on a Thursday, 1 of 3 wins this: Simmering, Mountain Breeze, or Heaven's Gate. Thing is, and as we've seen plenty of times already this season, the markets are moving like crazy in the run-up to the races themselves actually starting. Would anybody be surprised if the Haggis-trained Nadra went off favourite come Saturday morning or afternoon? He's only had 1 run. He's currently around about 8-1. He's drawn 2, and a low draw is definitely no disadvantage. So you've got to keep a close eye on the tissue. I know I will be.
Agreed.
I've got to go with Mountain Breeze at the moment. Clearly out to pot hunt early doors. He's had 2 wins at Maidan, 1 in January, 1 in March. He'll be arriving cherry ripe for this. The other 2, they're coming back from breaks of 188 days and 162 days, respectively. So mine's surely got a bit of a fitness edge. Appleby's only had 1 runner in this race before, and it won.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yep. I'm going with Mountain Breeze to make it 2 from 2 for Mr. Appleby.
Yeah, what Ron said pretty much. This used to be like a really seriously major trial for the Guineas, ditto the Greenham that we're going to talk about afterwards.
Yeah.
These days, the bigger yards are inclined to send their better horses straight to Newmarket without a prep run.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure we're going to see the winner of the 1,000 Guineas here.
No.
Simmering definitely has the best form. Won the Princess Margaret Stakes at Royal Ascot, the Prix de Calvados at Deauville, 2nd in the Moyglare Stud, and 4th in the Prix Marcel Boussac, the last 2, both Group 1s. So she's clearly the one to beat on form. But there is a question mark if she is heading for the Guineas, whether she's going to be fully tuned for this, personally. And much to Ron's horror, I'm going to be saying Mountain Breeze as well.
Oh.
Daughter of Lope de Vega, she bounded clear to win the UAE 1,000 Guineas last time out. And put daylight very quickly between herself and the rest of the field.
Yeah.
I doubt she's the best of these by the end of the season, if I'm honest with you. But I'm hopeful she can put her fitness advantage to good use. I've also made a note of Nadra for Haggis. She won her maiden very impressively. What that form is worth at this time of the year is hard to tell.
Yeah.
That's the problem that we all run into with 3-year-olds coming out. But she looks a nice sort, and I wouldn't be surprised if she runs well. So Mountain Breeze for me, Nadra each way, if you fancy something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But I think the fitness advantage is what counts here.
Yeah, keep your eye on the markets. Whatever you do, keep your eye on the markets.
Yeah, we don't have that benefit at this time.
We don't. No, not on a Thursday, unfortunately.
Not even on a Friday. I'm the one who forced it into a Thursday. Blame for that one. But it is what it is.
It
on
is.
to the Greenham Stakes at 235. What do you reckon on this one?
I tell you what, it's a bigger field than usual, I think. There were originally, when I first looked, there was 16 declared, and as I was starting to work on it, it went down to 10. Again, all 3-year-olds. Did you know that many moons ago we actually had a runner in this?
No.
Hidden Coin ran for Post Racing. Well,
wow.
When we were part of the Hambleton syndicate. He had no chance of winning, but he gave the members a brilliant day out.
You think so?
If I remember rightly, Kieran Fallon rode it for us. Yeah, I'll never forget that. This is a little bit tricky to solve in the last 10 years. We've had a couple of 16-1 shots go in the last 9, that is. And David O'Mara won it last year with Esquire at 16-1. Now, he's got a horse in here called Rogue Allegiance.
Yeah.
And I was reading a very interesting article by the owners yesterday, it was.
Yeah.
He's in the 2,000 Guineas, but they don't think he'll actually stay the mile. He's apparently strengthened up really well over the winter, and he's going really well at home. He was 16-1 into 8-1, possibly on the back of that article. Now he's down slightly to 10-1. They turned down huge money offers for him after he won at Newcastle in December, and they do expect a big run tomorrow. I'd be looking normally at front 4 on the tissue, though. That one is currently 5th best. But as I say, keep watching the markets, because the one that's in 4th at the moment is drifting like a barge. John Quill has moved from Sir Michael Stout's yard to Balding's yard. And that one looks fancied 11-2 into 4-1. But all these moves and fluctuations, they're probably due to the 6 that have actually come out.
Yes.
Let's see. Have all three at the head? Have they trained on these 3 at the head of the markets? I guess you have to believe they have. But then, if you're betting in these races, you are guessing. I know I am. The Godolphin horse, Al Qudra, trained by Appleby, despite the horses coming out, has drifted like the proverbial barge. He also won in the desert in February. So I'm just going to assume that despite being fit, he's not up to this. I'm going to suggest, though, that I might just have a little fun bet, a 2080 on the O'Mara horse, because I like the owner's optimism in his interview. I've no idea whether or not he's up to Group 3, because he only won a little Class 4 on the sands at Newcastle. But he's a double-figure price, Same stable won it with a double figure priced horse last season. I'll go for Rogue Allegiance 2080.
Yeah, it's quite a strong lineup. You got, like you said, Godolphin's race fit Alcudra, David O'Mara's highly regarded Rogue Allegiance, the improving Diablo Rojo, and John Quill. They've always thought a lot of that.
They did.
Stouts, they always thought a lot of that horse. So he could be anything.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one to call. So I've gone for an even bigger price than Ron's one for an each way. I've gone for Saracen.
Oh, yeah.
16 to 1 each way. Joseph O'Brien sends this one over.
Yeah.
The booking of Christophe Soumillon to ride catches the eye, that's for sure. Cost 500,000 euros as a yearling. Made his debut at the Curragh, picking up his maiden by 4 lengths on soft ground, pulling clear late on. If you watch his action in that, he certainly looks like he's going to be even better suited by the good going that's forecast for Saturday.
Yeah.
So if he takes to the ground, he could be anything, he could be nothing as well. But he could be anything. And at 16 to 1, you think Joseph O'Brien's not sending one over for nothing?
Nope.
So I think 16 to 1 Saracen is an each way bet. A good one?
Nope.
Probably not, but as good as any, to be honest with you.
You wouldn't put anybody off back in anything, really, would you? Not in April.
No, it's difficult time of year. Ron shows the races. I blame him. He blames me when I do it. So
yeah.
I'm going to blame him the other way around. But
yeah, if they'd gone with National Hunt horses, you were going to be betting on horses that have been going since about last July, you know. So
you didn't pick any races that I wouldn't have picked, I'm sure. So
I'm sure
there's no issues there. But it's that time of year that it's always tricky. But yeah, I think Saracen will run a big race and hopefully hit the top 3. If he wins, even better.
Yeah.
And now we travel over
to Ireland. We're going to the Curragh. Yeah, 325. More 3-year-olds. 11 of the critters. Aidan O'Brien trains 3 of them. Joseph O'Brien trains 2, half the field.
Yep.
Interesting that Carl Burke is sending over Bright Thunder. Mick Shannon won this in 2017, so we can actually pull it off. I'm thinking, though, Whale wins it for Aidan O'Brien. She ended up winning the last 2 races of last season, and the last of those 2 was a Group 3 at this track, course and distance winner. Apparently, she is the preferred of Ryan Moore. I say apparently because who knows what they're up to when they're making their jockey selections for any of the horses they run. And he rode her to win her maiden at Doncaster last September. Aidan has won 2 of the last 3 runnings of this race, and last season also won it with a 3-year-old, which is what Whale is. She is entered for everything bar the boat race, but then I'll assume that his missus is probably entered for the same races. The horse arrives on the up, and it's now just remains to be seen whether or not she has trained on. And of course, if she's good enough, I'll go for Whale.
Oh dear. Yeah, I don't like this race. I'll be quite clear about that. 3 O'Brien ones. When I first started writing it, Ryan hadn't decided what he's going to ride. They're always late declaring the jockeys over there. So he's now on the Whirl. So presumably that's a sign.
Yeah.
He's looking for a hat trick after a maiden win and then the Group 3 Stafford's Town Stud Stakes. Try saying that with the wrong teeth. Yeah, she likes a battle. That's the thing I did notice about her. She doesn't mind a scrap.
Yeah.
I always think that's a good thing to have on your side. I'd rather have a Frankel that just cruises clear on the bridle and wins by 10 lengths. That'd be nice to see. But sometimes you want one who doesn't mind putting their head down and going for it.
Like a Giant's Causeway, my hero.
Yeah. She doesn't mind a battle. She doesn't mind a fight, which is a good thing to have on your side. Do I like the race? I really don't. I mean, again, I wonder why Bright Thunder's coming over. That is a bit of a shot in the dark to me.
Yeah.
3 O'Brien horses is always a concern as to which one's really going to do the best out of the 3. I mean, at the end of the day, they don't have any bad horses, do they? It's not really.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's Acker Mullins.
Yeah, I mean, Garden of Eden is officially the best of, the joint best of his 3, but at these weights is the best of the 3.
Yeah.
By a couple of pound, and yet that's Declan Madonna's riding that. So, well, if Ryan's got it right, Will's the likeliest winner. Will I be putting my house on it? No.
Nope.
Not in a month of Sundays. I think it's a tough race, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of these won. No idea. Sorry. Very, very negative of me, but that's how I feel about that race. And 1 to go, the 4:30.
No. I'm looking forward to seeing if Jan Bruegel's trained on from 3 to 4. Because he only raced as a 3-year-old, and he arrives here unbeaten. And his last 2 wins were over 12 furlongs and 14 furlongs, which was the St. Ledger. Yeah. Does he have the speed to drop back to 10 furlongs? Now, the win in the St. Ledger came at the expense of a stable companion who, whilst not useless, does appear to like one in front of him. Yeah. I think that was called Illinois.
Yes.
And 6 of his 9 races to date, I've seen that one placing 2nd or 3rd. I don't like to see that in a horse, whatever level they race at. The early market I have suggests actually that Los Angeles is the best of the O'Brien horses here. And he's got 3 of the 8, and Joseph has 3 of the 8. Yeah. If jockey bookings are right again, though, Ryan Moore is on board the Ledger winner. Now, I've got no jockey for Los Angeles at the moment. I don't know whether you have. Is Ryan Moore going to switch?
Los Angeles non-runner.
Los Angeles non-runner?
Yes, that's just coming.
Right, okay. So, well, that takes me... that was my selection.
And mine.
I see no jockey as yet for Los Angeles. Will he run? That was my next line. Well, no, he doesn't. We've had 5 winning favourites in the last 7 runnings of this. And no winner in that time has returned bigger than 7-2. Much is going to depend on whether Aidan sends his 3. But for now, I'd be with Los Angeles. He was 3rd in an Arc de Triomphe, and that's more his trip than Jan Bruegel's.
Yeah.
But I've now got to change my mind and go for Jan Bruegel. Because I've got no choice, really, have I?
It was always a tough one from the very start, because nearly every horse in here seems better over further.
Yeah.
And that was always going to be a concern. The 7-year-old Crystal Black is the one with the best form over a mile and a quarter. Sorry, best winning, most wins over a mile and a quarter, but not at this level. He's basically a capper, so he's stepping up. Yeah. Tower London, you're expecting to see over a mile and 3/4, or even in the Cup races over 2 miles and more later in the season. So good horse as he is, and he's a very good horse.
Yeah.
I can't see him having the speed for a mile and a quarter.
No.
You have to start wondering, being a conspiracy theorist as I am, that speed is of the essence when it comes to the stallion career after racing. Yeah. So are they trying to get a mile and a quarter win, another mile and a quarter win into Jan Bruegel at this class to show that they've got the speed for a mile and a quarter as well as the stamina for a mile and a half and further. Therefore, he's worth more at stud. That would be my guess as to what they're trying to do. It's a horror race. It makes you feel any better. I was going to be on Los Angeles as well. So that he's ruled out. So that's the end of that one. Yeah. So again, I'm going to have to follow the same as you've done for exactly the same reason. Ryan Moore's chosen to ride Jan Bruegel. He's unbeaten, so hasn't really been tested theoretically. You never know how good they are till they're beaten, is an old racing saying, isn't it? So I'm going to guess that he's good enough and has enough speed, but I wouldn't be shocked if something else came out of the pack and won this. Don't know who, but
I don't know. No, I don't. No.
So Jan Bruegel for me, with about as much confidence I had in the other Irish race.
Yeah, we've agreed on 3 of the 5 races. Can we both be wrong?
Well, probably. But,
yeah.
Odds on 5. Yeah, bit of a messy one, that one. Sorry, everybody. We didn't know that till the last minute. Suddenly, Los Angeles is out, and obviously the same as every week. Really, some of those we picked elsewhere may have been on runners by race.
I know, yeah.
Who knows? We can only do what we can do, and it's my fault for Thursday, but I don't suppose we know any different tomorrow anyway. So that's that then. Jan Bruegel for me, and time to press your fictitious OMS button.
Yay! Well, consider the button pressed. At number 1, Mr. Socks. 7-1 into 4-1. Only flew in at 7-2. And the next one, Fahrenheit 7. I actually pointed out in the newsletter there were 2 horses in this race that had the 3 icons that I look for. One indicates that it's a traveller, another indicates that it's well drawn, and the other indicates that it won on the ground. They came home 1st and 2nd, and this one, Fahrenheit 7, was 8-1 into 5-1, into 10-3, absolutely hosed up at 11-4.
Nice.
Last but not least, 3rd highest rated, with a bullet, up in flames, Havana Prince, 10-1, into 8-1, into 5-1, led from start to finish, won a 5-1. How's about that then?
Not bad at all. I can't complain about that at all. I can tell you I didn't have any of the 66-1 winners out in Dubai as we watched 3 odds on favourites getting beaten. So money doesn't always talk. But yeah, if you can come up with them like that and make people money, that's all you need to do.
That's all well, at this time of the year, seriously, you just follow the markets because form goes out the window. Did you see the results of Catterick yesterday?
No.
Oh, dear me. Well, the TriCast paid, I think, not the TriCast, the place pot, 5,800 quid.
Wow.
You know, you're just spitting into a wind when you try and back a place pot. It's madness at the moment. But it's April, you know.
Yeah, it's always a tough month. We said this before to everybody. We suggest you reduce your bet size accordingly. It's the tail end of the national hunt season where you're seeing the dregs, generally speaking, with the exception of 1 or 2 races. And it's the beginning of the flat season where you don't know who's trained on and you don't know who's 100% for today or who's being given this race to get them fit for a race that they fancy in 4 weeks' time. And you just don't know. It's as simple as that. No one knows outside the stables, and we're not got that kind of information, sadly.
No.
So we just do what we can do.
We do what we can do. Yes.
Something for the weekend, sir.
Yeah, I'll give this one a whirl. Well.
Oh, very good. Yes. He caught me with that one, ladies and gentlemen. I am allowed to still be tired. Yeah, I'm going to go with Sunway in the 125 at Newbury.
Okay.
I think he's got a good chance. His form is the best there, without a shadow of a doubt. It's whether he's got that will to win is the question mark, as you mentioned about others.
We will find out.
Can't be bad. Right. Anything else we need to discuss?
Nope, we're done and dusted. 47 minutes on the button. How's about that? Andy, he's only had 1 can.
Oh dear, no good at all to anyone, that one.
I think another one to drown his sorrows.
Another half decent podcast that we messed up a little bit at the end, I suppose, because we just didn't know that horse had been pulled out last minute.
No. Well, like I said, we're doing it on a Thursday, and everything's in a state of flux on a Thursday. You know, it probably will be tomorrow as well, by the way, because I mean, there's no rain forecast. Exeter's been abandoned already because they've got their going description now as hard.
Yeah,
I thought only Bath got hard.
They've run out of water, basically.
Yeah.
Watering throughout the spring, and there's just no water left, so they've moved the meeting from there to elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, it was either that or have 7 walkovers apparently. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we don't want to do
which
that.
Which would surprise me.
I still wouldn't find the winners. Never mind. One of those days. Okay, well, have a good one, everybody. I haven't worked out. I'll talk to Ron, probably not next week, maybe the week after or something. We'll do another podcast, whatever it may be.
Yep.
Flat season beginning to ramp up.
Yeah.
And once we see what stables are in form and what stables aren't in form, we'll have a better clue of what's going on.
Indeed. Now, one more thing before I go. Everybody sign up to Facebook.
Of course, yes.
Make sure you are subscribed. Well, not subscribed, but registered to the eye catchers section.
All right.
It's now, well, when we see the Newbury card tomorrow, hundreds of unraced juveniles and 3-year-olds. There's got to be 3 or 4 going up in that section on Facebook tomorrow. Not Facebook, Facebook.
Interesting. I'll be looking forward to reading that.
I'll be surprised if there's not at least 3.
Yeah, interesting. And we'll see how they get on.
Yep.
And come back and shoot you down in flames. No, difficult times for punters, but never mind. We're still enjoying it and we're still having fun, and the sun's shining, so there's not a lot to
Yeah, and it is. Yeah.
Right. And on that note, I think we better sign off.
Yeah, I think we should. I need a brew.
Yeah, so do I. Leave you in peace. Leave you in peace for the rest of your weekends, everybody. Have a good one, and we'll be back shortly, no doubt.
Yeah. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Post Racing, the site for winners.